Daredevil? Nowhere to be found. Strange? Stuck on some mystical house call. Great. Just perfect. The Avengers wouldn't even take my call. Turns out, Electro and Vulture are behind Aunt May's kidnapping. But how the heck did they figure out it's me, under the mask? Spider-Man was confused. Electro laughed and said, I gave you 2 minutes. Release the girl before it gets messy. This isn't about her. If she stays involved, things will end badly for everyone. Electro shoots a blast, but Spider-Man, thanks to his spider sense, with his incredible agility, he does move in the air, flipping, twisting, and bending his body to dodge the electric attack. Spider-Man confronts Electro, recognizing him even with mask. The young lady urges Vulture to transform and help Electro, but he explains it's not that simple. Spider-Man demands answers about Aunt May and the tightly held briefcase. Vulture asks Electro to distract Spider-Man and simplify the situation. Electro confronts Vulture, blaming him for losing a suitcase containing $20 million. The money is scattered across the neighborhood, leaving them in a difficult situation. Electro urges Vulture to reclaim his wings, and together they plan to confront Spider-Man for the loss, determined to take him apart for the incident. Spider-Man questions the motive behind a $20 million payment for Aunt May's kidnapping, suspecting the involvement of a third party. Electro, wearing a new costume, engages in banter with Spider-Man about the redesigned cost and his fashion sense. They argue and make fun of each other's choices, while talking about Aunt May's kidnapping. Spider-Man warns himself to stay focused, realizing that if he fails, Aunt May won't come back. Electro, angered by Spider-Man's actions, claims this conflict was meant for the villains only, suggesting Spider-Man shouldn't be involved. Spider-Man is puzzled, wondering if the mastermind behind Aunt May's kidnapping kept his identity secret from the criminals involved. Spider-Man urges Electro to spare innocent people, insisting that their conflict should only involve him. However, Electro rejects the idea, claiming they're not playing by any rules, especially after Spider-Man's actions cost him and Toombs $20 million. He threatens to take revenge on Spider-Man for the financial loss. Spider-Man tells Electro to stop, but Electro doesn't care and mocks Spider-Man. Spider-Man reveals that there were kids in the cars that Electro targeted. Electro admits to being dangerous, and shares sinister ideas he developed in prison. Electro says to Vulture about how easily he defeats Spider-Man, and invites Vulture to join the battle. However, Vulture reveals he's stuck at the hotel, without his wings and can't fly down to help. Electro insists, and they discuss the urgency before the police show up. Spider-Man tells himself to forget about the pain, and ignore what his opponent says. He says no, to look at the confusing electromagnetic aura that hurts his head. Instead, Spider-Man tells himself to keep hitting the opponent, until they can't stand up anymore. Electro threatens Spider-Man, promising to burn his face, by charging every atom in the room. In response, Spider-Man doubts Electro's claim of being smarter now, and asks where Electro has hidden a hostage. Spider-Man questions Electro about May Parker's kidnapping. In response, Electro mocks Spider-Man, calling him an idiot. Spider-Man, frustrated, questions Electro's laughter. Electro then reveals that the Kingpin was once a movie producer with mob connections, suggesting a shady investment in films for money laundering. There was a movie that didn't do well, and the Kingpin owed $20 million, because he invested in it. He really wanted his money back, or there would be trouble. The Owl sent Electro and the Vulture to get the money, but they had a plan. The Owl had just come out of jail, and was starting his criminal group again. Electro and the Vulture thought about taking the $20 million for themselves, instead of giving it back to the Kingpin. Spider-Man confronts Electro, who reveals that they have no knowledge of the person Spider-Man is searching for. In a surprising turn, Electro says that the Owl tricked Spider-Man, treating him like a piece in a bigger plan. Spider-Man reflects on winning a science prize, and his aunt's proud moment, but now finds himself working for the Owl. He questions how he, once clever boy, ended up in this situation. In the midst of dealing with these thoughts, he urges himself to shoot a web. Overwhelmed with guilt, Spider-Man apologizes to Aunt May for the danger his superhero activities bring, fearing he's responsible for her potential death, similar to Uncle Ben's fate. Spider-Man got hurt really bad. The doctors need to help him with surgery and intensive care. People are talking about heroes like Daredevil coming to help. A medical professional trying to get through a crowd, to get to an injured Spider-Man. Another person is yelling at the photographer to stop taking pictures. Doctors are looking at the Spider-Man upper body, and see bad burns, swelling, and maybe a dislocated shoulder. One doctor says to move the Spider-Man to a treatment table. Another thinks they might need a tube to help him breathe, and wonders if they should take off the superhero's mask. But someone else says no. The mask stays on to keep the superhero's identity a secret. Mary Jane called Peter and left a message. They're not home right now, but she wanted him to know she's taking the first flight back to New York in the morning. She feels really bad about the situation, and doesn't want to be far away, while Peter is dealing with everything, especially looking for Aunt May. Mary Jane thinks This is one of the worst situations they've faced, and she wants to be there to support Peter. Mary Jane is alerted by a news report on TV. She spotted a headline reporting on a disaster where 17 people were injured, including Spider-Man. Max Dillon, the supervillain Electro, who was also injured. The police are trying to verify if he ever reached the hospital. The doctor tells the nurse, "I don't care whose fault it is. When superheroes come here, we use fake names and keep it a secret from the media. Look at all the chaos outside. Do you know how many lives are in danger because of wannabe heroes trying to copy others? I swear, if I find out you're taking money from the newspapers, there will be serious consequences." A doctor asks about a strange noise. The police are shocked and don't know what's happening behind a locked door. A nurse thinks it's not fair because Spider-Man doesn't know where he is and calls Vulture a jerk. Vulture tells Spider-Man to watch the Discovery Channel, suggesting Spider-Man is acting like a vulture in some way.